My name is Mel Brown and welcome to episode 49 of my crafting podcast. This is my fortnightly vlog about knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, yarn dyeing, anything else seems like a good idea at the time. I'm an autistic woman living in the north of England with my husband, our 3 daughters and 3 cats. This is where you can find me on social media. I've got 2 spaces today. If you're new, thank you for coming. And watching me. I got my 200th subscriber on my 2nd anniversary, and that was a friend of my daughter's. Hi Joe. So very excited. Yeah, I know it's not monumental numbers, but actually it's just fun for me. So hello everybody, welcome back if you're not new. Right, gonna jump straight in. I've got a lot to show you today and I'm going to try not to take too long about it. So where are they now? What happened to the projects you've already seen? Well, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? You guys have seen before. The first thing I always say is the memory blanket. Well, the memory blanket has gone into a new phase, which is quite exciting after all these years. I've got everything laid out here and it's all organised for now. Right. I thought it was organised and now I can't find it. There it is. So the memory blanket, which I have been doing for 2.5 years, is now, the knitting part is finished. I had intended to make it massive, but actually when I got, well, you know, I just figured that I'd done enough, and it was finished. So my nail caught on it. So here it is. The pattern is by Georgie Nicholson. It's absolutely beautiful. It's leftover sock yarn. I haven't used minis or anything else like that. It's all been stuff that's been that I have already had. So it truly is a memories blanket. So last episode I made a bit of a cock up. I bought those 2 pieces of fleece and said to you I would show you what I was going to do with them later. And I forgot to do that. So when I was recording and I saw that, editing, I put a little note up saying, oh, I'll explain that later. And I recorded a little segment for that. But then I forgot to put it on the end. Sorry about that. So basically what's happening is the 2 pieces of fleece I'm going to use for the 2 blankets. So this one is going to be the backing of the memories blanket. Now obviously when you knit or crochet a blanket you don't usually put a backing on, but this is 4-ply, this is sock yarn, so basically it's as thick as a sock, so it's not exactly going to be snuggly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me show you where I'm at. I asked on Instagram for ideas for a colour for a border for this because I wanted to just put a nice neat border on it before I backed it, and the most popular suggestion was bright orange. See, I don't like orange, despite that. I don't like orange. So I didn't like that idea, but another suggestion was chocolate brown, which I do like. I'm not a brown person in general, despite my name, but it's going to be in our front room, and it's the front room wall colours. One colour is teal and the other 3 are chocolate brown. So I thought it would be perfect. So I went out hunting for some nice chocolate brown, and I thought I got this all nicely set up, but it turns out I bloody haven't. Anyway, Yarn Etc., my local yarn shop, came to my rescue and found me this, which is, where's the little taggy thing? There it is. It's Northshire Yarns, which is our local yarn dyer. She's from Harrogate. And it's Peruvian Highland wool in the colourway Edvard, I think. So that was, it's not the softest of yarns, but it's Peruvian 100% wool. I can handle that. But it's a ton of tonal browns. What is that? Speck of blue. That's not part of the yarn. That's just that bit of fluff. So this beautiful cake I wound on my new ball winder, which I finally worked out how to use. So that is going to be a border. Now I am definitely not going to knit a border for this massive beast. So what I decided to do was do a half treble crochet, that's the UK term, half double crochet, US terms, border all the way around the outside. And all of this flipping fiddling is to try and show you the border. Ugh. Right, I started it last night and I managed to do one whole side. So that's what it's looking like. It's just half trebles, and I don't know how many rounds I'm going to do. I did a bit of calculation. I think I've got enough yarn for at least 3 or 4. I guess half of the width of one of these, half of the size of one of these might be a good thing. I don't know. I'll just see how it goes. At the moment, it's the not so much fun bit because I've got to make 25 stitches along this line and sort of bodging it a little bit, you know, if it doesn't quite work out. But once that's done, and then I'm just doing, when I've done all the 25 for that one, I'm putting an extra treble and a chain and a treble into that one, a corner, and then again one for the 25. So yeah, and once I've done the first round, the next rounds will be much more fun. So it's in its new phase. It's finished the knitting. It's now into the crochet. Once I've done that border, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, either me or the blocking queen Andrea is going to hand stitch it on the outsides, the edges, to this piece of fleece, and then so it'll be in 2 pieces then, which could actually flap apart. So what we'll do then, I will do then, is I will just choose strategic points throughout the blanket, and I will just put a thread up from the fleece side through the knitted side, back down, and just tie a knot, double knot, and tie it off. It's not the neatest looking thing, but actually it's considerably better than hand stitching great big rows or trying to put knitted fabric through the sewing machine. I do not have the skills for that. So that's where it's at. I'm just going to happily play with that for the next, I don't know. And yeah, I am so excited after all these years to actually have got to this stage. It kind of felt at one point that it's going to be buried with me as a work in progress or whatever, but no, it will be finished. So that is work in progress number 1, or WIP as we like to call them. Now notice there's no more tea or coffee. We're on the water. I'll explain more about that later. This is kind of body temperature water, which will probably make most of you go, look. I put boiling water in up to about there, and then cold water from there. So it's yeah, my daughter can't bear the thought of it drinking warm water, but I love it. Right, work in progress number 2, the Advent blanket. So last time I spoke to you, I had made the little squares of the Advent minis that I'd been given, and I'd made them into a standard size with a grey, not a border but a grey addition, and then I'd combined them in groups of 9. And I wanted to dye some yarn to make a border, and I did. Oh, give me a sec. So much stuff here. So I dyed some yarn, just some standard superwash yarn that I have, and that's what I got. So it's just perfect. It's pretty much exactly what I wanted. And so what I've done with that is I've taken my 9s and I've added a border. So there's 3 rounds of half trebles and a corner, and I have blocked 2 of them. Yes, all on my own. I have blocked them. So there's 2. I figured it'd be easier to block them now than when they're all together. So there's 2 already done. I worked out I roughly need 12 to fit easily onto that. That's the other thing. The fleece for that, the grey fleece, that's going to go on the back of this one. So the kind of grey connection there. And then there's still the blue. I don't know. It works for me anyway. So that's what's going to happen with that. This one's going to be bigger. It's going to be more like single quilt size. So I think I need 3 by 4 of these, and I've got 2 already made and blocked. I've got another one that I'm on with the border at the moment, another 3. I think that are already combined as a group of 9. So I've got bits all the way along. This is my little bag. I had to get bigger. I've had to ditch the previous bag. So in here I've got yarn right at the very beginning, kind of not yet made into anything, and then I've got some squares in here that are already done out of the Pretty Fab Fitty yarn but haven't been greyed yet. There's ones that have, this is partway through being greyed, and then I've got a whole pile of those that have been done and ready to go into 9s, and I've got some 9s that are ready to have their border. So yeah, it's all the way along the path of it. I'm rabbiting, and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's coming on really well, and that's my take out of the house project right now. So I'm doing quite a bit of that when I'm not in the house. Yeah, I love it. Makes me so happy, that blanket. Oh, I love it. And once I finish with I've actually got the first 6, the squares for the first 6 9s, as it were, are already done, and I've got still got some. That yarn you saw in there is actually Christmas yarn, so it's from minis I got myself for Christmas for my stocking. So more than half of it will actually be Christmas yarn, which is fab. And then after that, I'm just going to start using the leftover sock yarn from my scraps bag, which I don't need for my memories blanket anymore because that's done. So I'm going to easily have enough yarn to finish that one. Got to make sure I don't overshoot though, because as I say, before I even started counting, I'd already got 6 blocks out of the 12. So okay, so that's number 2. Work in progress number 3 is a lefty, which is a Martina Bain pattern. It deserves much better than it's getting from me, because at the moment I haven't touched it. And this is what I was talking about last time, too many works in progress. I've always said that you have as many as works for you, and if that's 1 or if that's 10, it doesn't matter, and I don't think anybody should judge anybody else for the number of works in progress they have at any given moment, but you have to do what's right for you, and having 1 is not right for me. I cannot function with just 1 work in progress. So I think I found that my level is about 6, 4 to 6, and I currently have 6. So what made me start talking about that? Oh, I think it was the lefty, wasn't it? The lefty has not had any attention, and it's such a lovely pattern. I enjoy doing it so much, but everything else is just too shiny at the moment. So I want to get back to that. Sorry, Martina. Okay, the next one is a finished object, and I've got to go get it. Hang on a sec. Right, okay, so do you remember the garden flowers throw? No, what did I call it? Runner, that's it. I'll put a pic in here. So that was little flower motifs that I made with leftover double knit wool yarn, and I made them into a runner for my daughter. And then a couple of months ago I came across all the leftover flowers, and I thought, what am I going to do with them? Well, I made something with them, and it's a little bit mad. It's a cushion, and it used up all but one of the leftover ones. Now what I did was I crocheted them together, and there's my half trebles again, my favourite, in this gorgeous silvery yarn that my friend Sarah gave me. So my flowers have a silver lining, and then I just kind of drew round the shape on an old sheet, and then I cut that out and sewed it, so it doesn't come right up onto the edges, but then I stuffed it, and there it is. So my second daughter, that's 4, is away for her actual birthday, but when she comes home she will find that on her bed. And actually she isn't using the runner at the moment either, she's using more of a blanket because it's quite cold, so I think I'll have to dig out that runner and put that across, and the pillow anyway. So I'm very pleased with that. It's a little bit mad, and it's hard to hide from her because it's so blooming big, but that's good and all finished. Right, interlocking crochet, the starburst. I haven't done anything with that. I've got kind of overtaken by the mosaic crochet, which is very similar, so there's no progress on that. I will go back to it. Right, okay, Amanda, you need to look away until this time. Okay, so leg warmers for Amanda's birthday. I'd done one last time I saw you, and she said that she I didn't want them to be matching. Well, she'll get what she wanted. So this was number 1, and this is in Easy Knits Bounteous with a double knit yarn that I bought to make the shift by Andrea Mowry, and this is my leftovers. So that was the first one, and this is the second one. So yeah, basically just using up that yarn. They're clearly in the same, sisters from a different mister, basically clearly in the same family, but a different approach. So yeah, just love those. I think I kind of cobbled together a pattern from a few other bits and pieces. This is just a front post and back post alternating, which is basically my 3 favourite stitches, these 2 and half trebles. You're seeing a lot of half trebles right now, right? So there they are. Just a wonderful way to use up the beautiful Easy Knits yarn. Really, really happy with them. So her birthday's at the end of March. Okay, Amanda, you can come back. Right, that's a finished object. The mitts. So I was making a pair of mitts for my friend. She wrote a pattern and she wants to just put it on Ravelry for a very small amount to raise funds for the hospice. So they're done. They've got this really cute little window down there, and they're a beginner pattern, you know, anybody could do them, and they're very customizable. I don't know when she's going to publish it, but I will, as and when she does, I will let you know, put a link in. It's a really lovely little pattern. So those are all finished. I want to get around to showing them to her. Okay, another finished object and another work in progress, the Mosaic Cross. Southwestern Cross, that's what it's called, which is my mosaic crochet project. Let me find it. So it's actually designed to be a throw or a blanket type thing, so it's quite big, but I didn't want to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a cushion cover size piece. So this is the cushion cover size piece, and I bought the cushion pad to go in it. And I chose these yarns. I chose the green yarn because I wanted to see the effect of a colour change yarn, because usually with mosaic crochet you're going back and forth and up and down like that. So colour changes go up the square. I wanted to show the colour changes going out of the square, and that's exactly what I got. There's not a huge amount of contrast for a lot of it, but that's okay because the other side of the cushion does have contrast, and that's that. How stunning is that? I'll put the pattern up here. I love mosaic crochet. I teach it quite a bit, and it's such a wonderful technique. I mean, look at that. So that I'm going to continue out with that until it's the same size as the other one. Then I'm just going to do a, guess what, half treble crochet border, and then I'll put a flap in. So I'll join the 2 sides and put a flap in to cover the cushion. I don't think it's going to be a working model. I'm not going to keep it on the sofa or anything. It's going to be one of those things that I just have as a sample, because I'm teaching this at Yarn Etc. later in the year, and I will teach it for my own business in the pub, basically, some point as well. So yeah, it's just lovely. So yes, I'll put the name up here, Southwestern or something. It's a really nice pattern. If you're thinking of having a go at mosaic crochet, there's this one. There's also Tina Thorodsdottir, who does some, she's actually got a sale on her patterns at the moment to celebrate her birthday. And then there's Martin up north. They're all designers who do brilliant crochet, mosaic crochet patterns. But yeah, do you know what? I could just look at that for ages. I think that might have to be the snapshot thumbnail. So yeah, you can see why I've stopped doing interlocking crochet, can't you? I mean, the effect is very similar. The main difference is the back of this is pretty boring, and that's why this makes a great cushion cover. I was saying about the interlocking, I wouldn't make a cushion cover out of that because you've got a beautiful back design which you're wasting. It's much better in a blanket or a scarf or something, but this is perfect for it. But yeah, it's quicker, it's just about as much fun, I think, and it's easier to teach. So that's that. I'm really enjoying that, totally. Okay, so that will be all of the where are they now. So that's all the projects you've already seen. That's 5 works in progress. There's 1 new whip on the block, and this is another one that I'm thinking of teaching. Let me just locate that. There it is. So this is Tunisian crochet in the round. So I've taught Tunisian crochet yarn, etc. a couple of times, and the people who've been there have been saying, oh, can we do something in the round? So here it is. There's not much to see, but there is to see this lovely double-ended crochet hook. So it's basically, if you know Tunisian crochet at all, you'll know that you work your way across adding stitches on, and then you work your way back the other direction, taking them off. Well, with this, you work your way across adding them on here, and then you turn it around and you work your way back taking them off at this end. So you sort of slowly move around the project. I'll show you a picture of what this is going to look like, because this isn't very inspiring right now. It's fairly early stages. What I tend to do when I find a project that I like the look of, a pattern, is I just give it a go and I work it myself, and if it looks like it might hit that sweet spot between too easy so that nobody will want to pay to go on a course for it and too difficult to teach in 2-3 hours. In between that, there's the patterns which look a little bit intimidating and people don't necessarily want to try on their own, but with 2-3 hours of help they can get started on it. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm hoping that's what this will be. So yeah, it's looking good at the moment, and I will keep you up to date with that. So that's all the knitting and crochet projects, works in progress number 6, and I have decided at this point, although you know not a big one for rules, that I'm going to stick with 6 works in progress. So I'm not going to start anything else until I have got something finished. We'll see how that goes, Okay, so macrame. I am going to teach a course on macrame at Yarn etc., which is my local yarn shop where I do a lot of my teaching, and I have made a sample for it. It's actually hanging up over there. I wonder if I can turn you around so you can see it. Oh no, it's too bright over there, you can't see it. I'll put in a couple pics here. So it's very, very simple macrame or macrame, and I'm going to be teaching that fairly soon. I'll put dates in as well. Yeah, that's not much, is it? Right. Okay, Sarah G, you need to look away right now. I'll tell you when you can come back at this time, or this time. Okay, right. I went to a weaving workshop from Daisy Florence Designs. It's a lady called Anne, and it was at Yarn etc. I wanted to go on it for quite a while. Those of you who watched before know I've been dabbling with weaving for quite a while. I do the circular weaving, and that changed everything for me. I love doing it. I don't do it anymore, but I teach it as often as I can to as many different people as I can. I've taught it to autistic children. I've taught it to normal neurotypical adults. I'm going next month to teach it at a care home, residential care home, to the elderly. So it's the most accessible and expressive craft I have ever found, and I absolutely love it. But there was more to weaving for me, and I've been dabbling for ages, and I finally decided to go along and do a course, which I did. It was brilliant. If you ever get a chance to do one of Anne's classes, oh my goodness, it's so worth it. Oh, I had a wonderful day, absolutely wonderful day, and we weaved a scarf in a day. and because I tend to be fast and dirty, I was a bit ahead of the of time as well. So I had a chance to do some of the finishing with it as well. Finishing, what's that? Finishing. So it was amazing. So where is it? That's a good question. Oh, it's over here. Now the reason I don't let Sarah watch this is because I didn't tell her, but when I went, I decided to make my first scarf for her because I told her I was going on a workshop, and she said, oh, it'd be lovely to have a hand-woven scarf. And I said, all right, I'm going to make one for you. So as soon as she sees this, she's going to know it's for her because it's her colours. Now, it's my first bit of weaving, so don't judge me, okay? Here we go. So it is green and purple, which is Sarah's favourite combination of colours. It's fairly short because we needed to weave the scarf in the day, so we made sure the warp was fairly short. And it's some distance from perfect, but I don't care because it's lovely. It's got a lovely drape to it. And I made it! So there it is. It's beautiful. I'm going to put it away so that I can bring Sarah back in again. Let me get that over there. Okay. So I bought a loom. I couldn't not do so. Now, when I heard of other people buying a loom, I was thinking of picturing something big. And in fact, when I said to my husband, I'm going to be buying a loom, and he said, do we need to put it in the garage? Do we need to clear a space? That's the common thought, isn't it, that it's a great big floor thing, but actually it's not. It's this. Ta-da! So, oh, let's run over my slipper. Let's bring it over here. Over here, you. There's paper hanging out the back because that's what I'm using to protect my warp, which is the long threads that go that way. I've got a couple of shuttles on here that are loaded up. So, so this green stuff is the warp, and that's some leftover from a cushion I made for my daughter a couple of years ago. And this here is the weft. So I'm going to try and take these off so that I don't throw them at the keyboard and show you what I've actually been weaving. So that's the that is the standard normal weave. I've got a bit of textured weave under there I've rolled on, and this is a window pane thing. Oh, my head's jumped out. Never mind, doesn't matter. This is a window pane. So it looks fab, doesn't it? This is kind of a sampler. I'm just trying out some different patterns and just seeing how they work for me. So this is going to be just a fun piece of fabric that I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't even know what I'm doing now. So this is my loom. It is a Ashford samplet, and it's a 16-inch, 40cm width. There's two widths, and that's the widest. So those of you who are not interested in weaving, please don't panic. I'm not going to spend an hour every 2 or 3 weeks talking about weaving. It's just going to be one of the things that I talk about. And I am going to make sure that when I talk about it, I make it accessible so that even if you're not interested in weaving, you can still think, that's interesting. So that's not the first thing I wove on it. The first thing I did was warp it up with some yarn that was the wrong yarn. It was too sticky, so when they rubbed together, they kind of felted and stuck together. Eek. But I then rewarped and made this, which is for me. Sorry, your youngest daughter interruption. So here it is. It's longer. It's got long tassels. It's Zalba ball sock yarn as the warp. That's the bits that go that way all the way through. And then the weft. Oh lordy. It's beehive yarns. Merino and silk. It is soft as anything. Yep, the edges are a bit rough. But you can see the sort of changing colour through the scarf. So the warp is a changing colour and the weft is solid. What is a tonal, I guess. But so because I've done it very, very fine, I haven't pushed the warp, the weft threads together very tightly. You can see where ends are running and things. So it's not, you know, it's a lot to learn. But it's gorgeous. And it's a lovely length. and that's the length of my table basically, so that's the length of the cloth that I'll be making. I mean, I can do longer ones, but it's lovely. I love it. Really, really happy with it. So I am now a fully fledged weaving addict, and it's making me see everything differently. So let's go on to spinning, because that's what I wanted to talk about next. I have been spinning this grey Corriedale for quite a long time. I've got some lovely, colourful, beautiful, interesting stuff, but for some reason I'm just drawn to finish this big bag of Corriedale that I bought. So Corriedale is a type of sheep, which makes a particular type of fibre, which I really enjoy spinning. And so here it is. This is the spun fibre. So for those of you who are not spinners, you'll see there's 2 plies. So I've spun one thread and then spun another, and then I've plied them together, twisted them together. You also see that it's not, what's the word, consistent. It's of inconsistent thickness, which is what we do hand spun for. If you want consistent thickness, then buy yarn. If you want something that's handmade and unique, then spin your own. So this I wanted to dye it after spinning. So, you know, I spin and I dye and I do all these things. I have dyed fibre and then spun it, and this time I wanted to spin the fibre and then dye it. And I specifically bought this grey because I liked the idea of seeing how it took the yarn, how it took the colour differently, because it's grey. So I am really excited about this now, because, you know, a bit of dyeing thoughts here. If you dye a skein like that and you do it in more than one colour, let's say you did just half of it, so the top half red and the bottom half blue. When you knit, you're going to get how much blue before you changes? 30 stitches? 40 if you're crocheting less, and depending on how wide or the thing you're making is, you might get 1 row, you might get 5 rows, you might get half a row. And I like stripes, but I don't like so much where the colour changes mid-row and it's kind of what I would call variegated. I don't like that so much. So dyeing this to knit isn't ideal, because I'm going to get that variegated thing. So I'd be much more likely to do something that's shades of a colour, like the yarn I dyed for the blanket, shades of blue. So it switches back and forth a lot, but it's all the same colour. I don't like it so much when it's switching between different colours, unless they're actually proper stripes. So now I think about weaving, everything changes, because I would love to weave with this. Now if you have a look at the width of that loom, about this much, and then compare that to this, I would probably get, in half of this, I'd probably get 2 rows of the top half of it. So if I dye the top half blue, I would get 2 rows of blue and then 2 rows of red and then 2 rows of blue, which would be stripes, which I like. But I like in knitting. Do I like it in weaving? These are all the things that I'm now going to find out. Would I prefer proper variegated? Would I prefer it to be, say, this section's red, this section's blue, this section's green, this section's a deeper red, this section's a really dark blue, and that's would I prefer that with weaving? Don't know. I'm going to find out though, aren't I? So I'm going to dye this. I'm not quite sure how yet, but I'm still working on more. So I might just get the whole lot done and then decide what to do with it. I haven't got my head around how much of this I need to weave the length of scarf that I've got, a length of fabric that I've got on my warp. So I have no idea how much I'll need, but I have a feeling that what I'm going to do is carry on spinning till all of this fibre is done and is made into yarn, and then I'll dye it and weave it and see what happens. So you see what I mean when I say everything's changed, because when I started dyeing yarn, it changed how I felt about yarn. When I started spinning yarn, it changed how I felt about yarn and dyeing yarn. And now I'm weaving, it's changing how I feel about all of that again. So it's fantastic. So basically what we're saying now is that I could buy 100 grams of fibre for undyed for £3 and could enjoy dyeing it, then I could enjoy spinning it, or I could do it the other way around. And then I could either knit with it, weave with it, or crochet with it, depending on how it came out. And at the end of that, I've got something that I've made. It cost me £3, and I've had hours and hours of fun. So, do it, folks, do it. Get another craft. Okay, I'm a bit excited about that. What else have I got left to say? Oh, I want to say hello to Adriana and Meryl. Just that, hi. Right, yeah, I said I've got 200 subscribers. My subscribers go up and down like, oh, I don't think I should use the expression I normally use. It might be a bit rude. So it's quite possible I'll go back down again. But if I do stay above 200, I think I might do a giveaway. Don't know what though. Maybe some hand-dyed yarn. Anybody fancy some hand-dyed yarn? Okay, I might do that then next time. Right, plans. There is a little yarn festival here called Spring into Wool, which is a grammar school in Leeds, and I didn't go last year, but my friend Gemma, who has the Gemma Bain Makes podcast, which is lovely, she has won some tickets, so we are going together to that, which is in early April. I don't tend to go to much outside of the my favourite one, which is Yarndale, because once I've bought everything I want there, I don't really want to buy any more yarn. But this will be fun because I've got a new craft to bear in mind when I'm looking at things. You only go to a yarn festival just looking at yarn, and then if once I started spinning, I'm looking at fibre as well and spinning equipment, and now I'm also looking at weaving equipment and yarn to take into account my weaving tastes. So it's a whole new ball game. So I'm going to that, and oh my goodness, it's been 3 months since I had socks on the needles, and I am just desperate to start another pair. And I've actually got some beautiful easy knits yarn. It's quite possible that it might be the most beautiful yarn ever made. Can I find it? No, a blooming car. Oh, there it is. And funnily, there isn't a label saying what the base or the colour is, which is a bit peculiar. So it's just got just that. There's normally other stuff on it, but you know, it's a mystery. But oh my goodness, look at that! Oh, see the love hearts in my eyes. It's sparkly. It's got teal and pink and purple. And you know what I was saying about variegated? This is definitely variegated, but it's all of the same kind of family colours. Probably contradicting myself here, but that's fine. So another lovely ball wound on my new ball winder. Now, I wouldn't normally make skew with a yarn that didn't have obvious stripes on it, because I've actually got the pattern here, which is funny. So that's how they look. And so if there isn't obvious kind of stripes of some kind, you don't get the effect of the sock. And I did discuss this because the reason I've got this ball is because I opened up my stash to get the girls to help me choose yarn for a scarf to weave, and Lexi, my second daughter, just basically grabbed that and ran away with it. She said, I want it, and she wants a pair of socks. And I said, well, it's quite variegated, you're not going to see much of a pattern. She said, I want this pair, and she said the skews because they fit so well. So even though you're not going to see the pattern really, it's still worth doing them because the fit is so good. I mean, if you're going to wear boots, you know, if you wear boots all day, your socks slip down. Never with skew socks, they never slip down. They're the best pattern ever. Have I told you about skew socks before? So I'm going to try this out, making skews with them. I don't know how they're going to look. The colour changes are way too rapid for them to be to get the normal effect, but who knows? I've got no idea. And they're in a bag. They've got the needles and the pattern, and they're just waiting, just teasing me, because as I said earlier on, I'm going to finish something before I do that. And at the moment, I think, unless I count with the memory blanket when I finish the crochet that it's done, which I might do, then the next easiest thing to finish is the mosaic crochet. So the little black and whatever square. I think I'm going to attempt to finish that. I need to anyway, because I'm doing a class on it and the shop want pictures. So I want to get that done anyway. So that's 2 reasons to get that finished as soon as possible. And then once that's finished, I can then start the skews. I also still want to start the velvet raglan in my handspun from last year. But again, I need to finish some other stuff first. So that's my plan for the next few months, is to basically have 6 works in progress all the time. Well, less is fine, but never have more than 6. If I want to do something new, you've got to finish something. See how that goes. Okay, just a little bit of personal stuff. I talked to you last time about the ketogenic lifestyle, which is cutting out carbohydrates from the diet almost entirely, but definitely all sugars, and definitely all gluten products. I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. One, I get a pain in my hands, and that terrifies me. I'm autistic. I need something to do. My brain cannot sit quietly. It just can't. It's like a toddler in there running around constantly. And if I can knit or crochet, then I can control my crazy. And if I'm sat, say, waiting in the hospital for an appointment, or turned up early to school to pick up the kids, then I need to have something to do. And it's my job. I teach for a living. So it keeps me sane. I need to knit and crochet. So something that's potentially going to interfere with that is very scary. I also have an inflammatory condition called hidradenitis suppurativa, or HS, which is an inflammatory condition. So I've seen recently how bad it can get for some people, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. And I need to stop that from happening. So those 2 reasons, the ketogenic, it's basically a metabolic process, but you switch your body over from burning carbohydrates for fuel to burning fat for fuel. And when you don't have enough dietary fat in your daily life, it starts using your body fat. So that's the side effect of it for me, is that it is going to include losing some weight, which is absolutely fine. I'm great as I am. I have no problem with my own body size and shape. But I don't mind losing some weight. It will certainly help me to do some of the other things that I do in my life. We're starting Couch to 5K in a couple of weeks with my second daughter. She has issues with calf muscle pain, and we've finally got that more or less under control. So we're going to start Couch to 5K. I used to do running a few years ago. We used to do triathlons, my husband and I, but we've got very unfit recently, so I'd be quite happy to do that and to get her fit, because she wants to be a police officer. That's all she's ever wanted to do. And of course, to be a police officer, you need to be able to run around. So we're going to start that, and definitely, having a few less pounds on me will help with that. And that will also, having less weight will also help with the HS. So it all kind of feeds into each other, really. So keto basically means a radical, absolutely radical change of my diet. And I am in my 2nd week, well, kind of 3rd, because I cheated and it started a bit early. But it's going very, very well so far. I have lost some weight, but the most amazing thing is the pain in my hands has gone completely, absolutely gone. I can't tell you how excited that makes me feel, how relieved that makes me feel. The HS probably take a month or 2 to see any difference in that, but I don't mind it staying as it is. I just want to stop it getting any worse. And weight, yes, I've lost a few pounds, and mostly from my belly, which is fine. I mean, my belly's lovely. It's it's where I carried my babies, and it's lovely, but that's starting to go, which obviously makes clothes fit a bit better. So that's what I'm doing there. I'll keep you up to date on that as well. And Annie, little one, starts online school on Monday. So it's half term at the moment. It's Friday, and she's going to start online school on Monday. I have no idea how that's going to go. I just hope it works for her. I hope it's a short-term thing. I hope she can get back into school, because she loves her friends. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So we're done. Hang on a sec. Okay, so we're all done. Thank you very much for getting to the end with me. If you're new, well done, good effort. If you're one of my long devoted watchers, thank you so much, particularly to Kathy and Adriana and Sarah and all the people that I know through the podcast. I will see you in 2 to 3 weeks. You've noticed maybe that it's not every 2 weeks right now, it's every 3. Maybe it's tricky, but I will see you soon, and please get in touch. So pop a comment down below saying what you liked, what you're interested in, what you do, what do you do that's similar to what I do, what do you do that's different to what I do, what do you think about weaving? Have you ever been interested in weaving? Get involved, just get in touch. If I've mentioned any patterns or people or whatever, then there'll be a link down below which will take you across the Ravelry group, and there'll be clickable links to patterns and everything there. You can also comment or ask questions over there, or you can get in touch with me via direct message, Instagram, whatever. Get in touch. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you shortly. Bye.